Hi everyone, thank you very much, Ashwin. Right, so moving on into the sustainability segment, we will be going through a fireside chat followed by a panel discussion before we move into the startup speeches for the day. So for those who are very keen in the sustainability and our sustainable city startups and what our speakers have to share, please feel free to come in now and take a seat here. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. All right, a very good afternoon to everyone here. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces around here. Also, has everyone managed to find a seat? If not, the spaces at the side are available. Please feel free to stand aside or take a seat if there are any available. My name is Xander. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm the Partner Success Manager for our Sustainability vertical. So today I'll be your MC and I'll take you through our Sustainable Cities segment. Before that, let us very quickly look at the agenda for today. So as you can see from here, we have a very exciting lineup all arranged for you, starting with a fireside chat. Starting with a program overview and some announcements before we move into our fireside chat and the panel discussion. And last but not least, you'll hear from the startups in our Sustainable Cities segment. So without further ado, to kick off this segment, I would like to invite Patricia Nordstrom, our Senior Director for Corporate Partnerships here in Plug and Play APAC, to give us an overview about our sustainability vertical. Patricia, please.
So I can tell everyone's a little bit food coma. I hope you're all excited for this segment. So as mentioned, my name is Patricia. I'm Senior Director of Corporate Business here in APAC and overseeing a lot of the business development activities. So many of you corporates here, you might know me. Otherwise, you know another member of our team. Now, for today's segment, we're doing an initiative looking at sustainable cities. So we have verticals like smart cities as well as sustainability having a lot of overlap. So just introducing a little bit more about the work that we're doing currently. So looking at both our partners in the sustainability and smart cities vertical, as you can see, we have players from multiple sectors, those from not-for-profit or government type of organizations that are looking at climate resilience, making investments in societal challenges and so forth. Others from sectors like energy and oil and gas, trying to decarbonize their industry and look at renewables and many other very interesting technologies out there. We see a big push in terms of industrial corporations also coming together, both from those that have heavy assets in terms of telecommunications, logistics, supply chain, maritime, and many more. And even from the manufacturing or the agriculture space, we have a couple too. So if you're interested in finding out about any of our programs or how we work with some of these corporations, feel free to let us know. We can make introductions to those players so you can have a discussion. Now, as you know, we're an investor. We're an early stage investor that looks at every single industry. We have also been investing heavily in the space of climate resilience, which is relevant for both smart cities as well as sustainability. And we're very happy to announce that this year, we're ranked number 1 across the board for Climate 50. So number 1 overall, as well as number 1 in early stage category. This is huge for us since we started investing just a few years ago in the space. In terms of our portfolio, we have a pretty 50-50 spread in terms of hardware versus software technologies that we invested into. And I'm happy to say, especially as a woman, that 43% of our portfolio are female founders. So if you're interested in our portfolio, let us know. Happy to make introductions as well. And if you're looking to make investments into startups, let's talk about that. Maybe we can help too. So this is my last slide before moving on to the next part of this segment. And what you see here on the screen are a couple of the key trends we're seeing globally and also an indication of what's becoming relevant on a regional level. As you probably can imagine, technology can only be implemented and scaled effectively in an environment that allows for it. And so we've been looking at many different topics, including plastic circularity, built environment itself, carbon neutrality, different types of technologies to digitize and automate different industries to be able to support decarbonization initiatives. So some of these startups you'll see outside, and if you like a deal flow in a different topic, also come to our team. So with that, just would like to pass back the MC to Xander.
Thank you very much, Patricia. All right, so with the updates, with all the exciting updates, I hope you guys are a little bit more excited, we chase away a bit of that food coma. So moving on to our next segment, which is the fireside chat, will bring us deeper into the topic of corporate startup collaboration, which I believe is not really something very new for a lot of you, a lot of people here. But what would be interesting is for us to hear from our speakers how they go beyond simple commercialization, establishing mutual beneficial relationships. So for this fireside chat, allow me to briefly introduce our speakers. We have Mr. Ajinkya, Director of Partnerships at RightShip, a shipping professional with more than 20 years of experience and expertise derived from different sectors of the maritime industry. Also, we have with us Mr. Gerald Chua, Venture Strategy and Investment Principal at FDev Digital Foundry, an experienced finance and investment professional who has been in both the corporate and startup setting. And last but not least, we have our moderator, Mr. Win Su, VP of Investments in PlugPay APAC and Head of Singapore. Please put our hands together to welcome our speakers.
Thank you, Xander. I hope you guys have had a good day with us. And basically, we are in the second segment of our show today. First off, I'd just like to get the both of our panelists, warm and comfy, and start with some of the easy questions. I know some of you said your bosses are here in the room, so I'll try not to throw a lot of curveballs, but I do have some surprises to prepare for. But maybe let's start off with a bit of introductions to the audience about yourself, right? Maybe Ajinkya, if you can talk about yourself.
Sure. My name is Ajinkya Kadam. As mentioned, I work for RightShip. I'm the Director of Partnerships. So my area of expertise is maritime and shipping industry. I've been in the industry for about 26 years now. And I started off as a seafarer, then went up the ranks to a master mariner. Then I came ashore for a ship owner, where I've been working for about 6 years, looking into various facets of shipping, like chartering, operations, managing the asset sale and purchase portfolio for the ship owners. And from the last 2 years, I've been working with RightShip, so where I look into the partnerships and inorganic growth areas for them.
Thank you, Ajinkya.
Yeah. And to give you an introduction about RightShip as such, so RightShip is essentially a risk management company. We are 21 years old. Our origins are from the Australian Parliament, who requested to identify the ships of shame, and hence our shareholders, BHP Billiton and Rio Tinto, they formed RightShip, an independent company which would go on board the ships and assess the risk, whether the vessel is fit to carry the cargo. And over the period of 21 years, we have grown from a hands-on company to more of a data-driven organization. And we use our in-house expertise to ascertain the quality of the ships when it comes to safety, sustainability, crew welfare, corporate social responsibility, etc. And now our shareholding structure is equal shareholding of Rio Tinto, BHP Billiton, and Cargill.
Wow, that's a very in-depth introduction. Thanks for that, Ajinkya. Next up, Gerald, maybe about yourself and also about Philinvest.
Yeah, so I'm Gerald Chua. I'm part of FDev Digital Foundry, which is actually the digital transformation and venture arm of the Philinvest Group, which is a local conglomerate in the Philippines. Our industries span across real estate, banking, and we've managed to grow it into others such as hospitality, power, agriculture, and even infrastructure. So a little bit about myself. I actually started with oil and gas and power, mergers and acquisition, finance, and decided to go into the startup space. And now I'm back in the investment space, which is something that I've enjoyed, and looking forward to the chat today.
Great. Okay, so now the surprise. Okay, so let us kind of start off with some quick fire questions, because I think all about the industry, doing business or even investments is to get to know each other better and eventually to build a relationship. When I talk to the startups about investments, because I look more on the investment side, how do you start dating each other? And then how do you get married when you sign, the final contract agreement? So 3 quick fire questions to both of you, separate questions. Let us start with Ajinkya, okay? What is your favorite food?
Food, sushi, yeah.
Sushi, nice. What is your favorite hobby?
Painting,
Okay. And then I know this is recent. Where do you go on your last holiday?
Phuket.
Oh, Phuket. Okay. So now you guys know what are some of the conversation starters with Jink here. And let's lead on to Gerald. Okay. Favorite movie? Difficult.
That's a bit difficult.
Okay. What is the latest movie that you watch?
Ant-Man,
Ant-Man. Okay. Favorite animal?
Lion.
Lion. Okay. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I think it depends.
Okay, so I guess it depends when you have to wake up for morning meetings and so on. Okay, so I think that whole idea is about trying to kind of find out more about you yourself individually. But coming back into the topic about the industry, what you guys are doing. Maybe if you can talk a bit more about your roadmaps, innovation roadmap or investment roadmap as it pertains to startups, right? And how you guys, how your company actually come up with it. Maybe we can start with Jinkia.
Sure. So our innovation strategy originates mainly from our business strategy, which is to strengthen our core and accelerate our journey towards a zero harm maritime industry, which is also one of our goals and purpose. And this is something which we review on an annual basis, and we have our quarterly checkpoints throughout the year where we use it to update the board. We seek permissions, establish business cases for working with various startups, etc. And to add further, I mean, we have various levers which we base our innovation strategy on. Whereas this can be broadly classified as your data and technology, thought leadership, market access, and new value creation.
Okay, and maybe a follow-up question that was about to ask you and which you answered, how often do you actually review, the innovation roadmap? But maybe a follow-on question on top of that is, what are some of the metrics that you review, and what do you call, success? Or maybe what goes on to your performance review at the end of the year for, a salary bump or a promotion?
Yeah, that's a bit of a touchy topic. So, yeah, so when we are evaluating the startups, right? So for us, I mean, in terms of for RightShip, I mean, what we see in terms of investment-wise is very different from what we see on the partnership side. So on the partnership side, we are open to work with a lot more companies because there the idea is driven mainly by our needs, what we require in our company. So whether it is a new data, whether it is a new technology, adding a new capability, market access, etc. So that gives us the opportunity to work with a lot of startups, some of them who might be from our industry, who might not be from our industry, who might share the same goal as us, or who might have a very different goal from us, but they might have something that would help us in achieving our goal of a zero harm maritime industry. Same way, when it comes to investment, we are pretty much laser focused that the kind of companies that we invest in are aligned with our purpose of a zero harm maritime environment. And that is kind of a North Star for us, which we use, while we are in our exploration process with the startups.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ajikya. I will leave you alone for now. So next, Gerald, again, can you talk to me about, your innovation roadmap and also talking about some of the metrics that you review and how often and how frequent do you actually look at some of these statistics?
Yeah, I think for us in FDev as well as PhilInvest, the goal is we build things or build businesses to help the dreamers or Filipino dreamers achieve their dream. So be it real estate, having their own first house, be it their first bank account, their first car, and others. So we've always looked at what are the trends regarding the customers. What are they looking for? How can we provide better services to them? How can we provide better products to them? So of course, the ideal scenario would be in a corporate setting, it's an annual review. But of course, depending on how fast trends change, there's a quarterly review, there's a monthly review. It will depend on the product. So as much as possible, in terms of metrics, that one is a bit challenging. Why is it challenging? Because if, for example, you're doing a revenue generation case, of course, your metrics would be revenue. But if you're doing digital transformation, it would be cost efficiencies, productivity. So as much as possible, we try to measure the partnerships and the synergies that we bring to the group.
Okay, thanks for that. Maybe coming back to even the personal experiences and your backgrounds and things like that. And Ajinkya has a very interesting background of climbing up all the way from being a seaman and going into the corporate world. Maybe if you can share a bit of some of the nuances that which is very different from other industries, so that we can help startups or even other partners work with you guys a bit better.
Sure. Most of the things remain pretty much the same, when it comes to investing in startups. But one peculiarities which I would like to highlight is estimating the market size, which can be pretty difficult in the shipping industry, because as shipping as an industry is divided into various segments and multiple verticals. So you have your dry, bulk, chemical segments. Apart from that, you have entities like ship owners, the charterers, the classification societies, the agencies, service providers, and all that. So, which is why what happens is, when a startup is addressing a problem, they find validation in one segment of the industry, and then they try to seek same validation for the same solution in the other segments of the industry. So now what happens in this scenario is that the other segments, for example, I'll give you a practical example. For example, congestion is a huge problem in the container industry space. However, how much of that is relevant to the tanker or a chemical industry? Well, so when you try to estimate the market based on the entire shipping industry, it's actually inflated market. And this is where, there is a sort of a knowledge gap when it comes to the founders who are coming from outside the industry, which is why my advice would be, to try and understand the industry, try and understand the prevalence of the problems in the various segments before trying to address all of them. The right way would be to choose one particular segment, one particular problem, and master it and solve it, and try not to focus on the other segments of the industry.
All right, thanks, Ajinkya. For Gerald, let's say with Philinvest, it's a huge conglomerate. So how do you even kind of help, or even yourself, navigate amongst all the different business lines, the business units, and even get things across the line with different teams and different people?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what Aditya said, which is you need to understand first who you're trying to serve. So, for example, in the real estate, in banking, you need someone on that side to tell you, is what you're thinking even possible? Is it something reasonable within the industry? Or is it something that, nobody's going to consider that? I think that's step one. Knowing who your customer is. I mean, all startups know that, right? But sometimes we tend to overpromise in a pitch. And people know when you overpromise. So I guess the advice would be, yes, we know what you want to do, your roadmap. But at the end of the day, we still need to understand what you can do at this point in time.
Okay, great. And I would like to hear some stories. Maybe before we go into stories, we sat through a bit of session yesterday looking at what are some of the obstacles when startups are working with corporates. All right. So what do you think will be the top 2 or 3 pain points that the startups would say working with you guys?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. So, we do a lot of work with the startups, and so what we have seen is a lot of times the startups expect us, to actively market them, or to push them. So marketing is one of the key areas where they feel that we are not getting much love from our corporate partners. The second area would be exclusivity. So though we always work on a non-exclusivity basis, yet there is somewhere, deep down in the heart an expectation that, you would not work with their potential competitor. So exclusivity is one, is the second one. And the third one would be the time commitment. A lot of times, we, due to the nature of our work, we are unable to provide that is something which we are guilty of. The adequate time that a startup requires out of a corporate. But we'll try our best to work on that. But these are the top three that came to my mind.
Yeah, we definitely know we are big giants with a lot of things moving on, and then we need to kind of move a lot of things to even just move the needle. Right? What about Gerald? Like from your side, what are some of the pain points you think that startups will say when they work with you?
I think that his third one is my first one. So time commitment. I mean, given the different industries that the company is in, we can't really give you equal time. It depends. For example, if you have a business model that's already proven, you can actually implement it quickly. We will most likely invest more time in that. And then the second one would be same to exclusivity. We can't really be tied to one partner because it will really depend what type of problem we're trying to solve. Sometimes we still need to assess different possibilities or technologies.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we just had a bit of a research looking at some of the problems within the corporate space. So just to share with most of you guys out here, like speed is one, decision-making process and time allocated to the startups that you work with. And also, coordination. There's too many points of contact, right? That's one. And there's also culture. How do you actually work well with each other? Which is interesting because when we work with corporates like these two partners on stage, we might put two startups with exact similar technology, but different teams. And then one will probably pick one team, and then the second one will pick the other team. So at the end of the day is, how you kind of work with the other from a culture aspect, right? And also, lack of access to resources. And I think the IP issue is one of the biggest things that you guys probably share about. But okay, so coming back on the other side, what are some of the horror stories you've seen in your time working with the startup?
Well, I would not really say horror stories because if there's something that you need to give the shipping industry credit for is navigating through troubled waters, which is something which we are really good at. So, yeah, I mean, we have seen the mismatch of expectations, and there's no one size really fits all. I mean, it comes in all different varieties, and every new mismatch is a case study in itself. So, but yes, we have seen where we have encountered founders coming from other industries, and when you have a corporate like probably us or some of the big oil companies or ship owning companies, working with them, so their expectation is of a growth spurt or mass adoption akin to what Google or a Meta would do it for a startup in the tech space. But given the nature of the shipping industry, it's a different industry, and you need to respect that. So you would not exactly have that kind of growth or a growth spurt, but you need to be patient, and that is what I've seen. Founders getting disenchanted or not happy with the corporate for no fault of theirs.
And do you have what is your pet peeve when you speak to some of these startups? What is the top thing that actually turns you off if you see that particular trait in the startup that you're trying to work with or invest in?
Well, for us, like I said, right, our commitment to our purpose, we as a corporate, we need to be true to our DNA, which is a zero harm maritime environment. And when I see a lack of commitment on that side and an intention to focus mainly on the financial side of things, that is something that is a deal breaker for us, to be honest.
Okay, great. Heading over to Gerald. All right, same question, right? What are some of do you have any horror stories in the past when you were working with startups? And also, what is the top thing that either your pet peeve or your first thing you actually look at when you assess startups?
Yeah, so in my case, it was an overpromise. So we were assessing a potential business case. And the partner that we had chosen back then overpromised the capability of the software. So we had to do a lot of things to make it work. I mean, at the end of the day, it was still a lesson learned for us that we didn't want to venture in that business. But at the same time, it also made me more cautious when talking to startups. I mean, I come from the space, but it's still different. if you encounter someone like that. That's why when I talk to startups, that has been my pet peeve, trying to understand how well does the one talking to me understand their product. Do they really, or can they really do what they're saying, or are they saying it because I want it? So those are the things I usually consider.
Maybe coming back to Gerald again, right? With your experience, and you spend some time part of FDev looking at different ways of working with startups, right? What are some of the maybe not say failures, or say experiments you've tried, and then you're asking why do we do this, or how do we go down into the next path working with startups? Do you have any sort of learnings that you can share with other corporates that they're looking into partnering with startups?
I think it's not really more of a failure. It's more of you realize that, okay, we've proven that we shouldn't continue, or we've proven that we should continue. So
and what are some of these partnership activities?
Yeah, so one is actually with Kinobi. So way back then, we tried to do an education workshop for cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, it came, or we did it at a time that cryptocurrency went down. So we did have sign-ups. People were very interested in it, but unfortunately, we couldn't do a follow-through given the scenario of the industry.
Got it. All right, Ajinkya, one last question for you as well. What are some of the things that you guys are looking to do and partner with startups next?
Well, to be honest, we are constantly looking out for startups, and as we are here at the APAC Summit, I must say that we are doing quite a good job with Plug and Play. We had a cohort which we ran last year. We were able to get 5 successful POCs out of it, and after that, we also acquired one company over the last year, and that is our in-house tech development now. We have launched the Ride Store, so we would be using a lot of the startups from the cohort to be able to take products from them and put them on the store, giving them the visibility, giving them access to RideShip's audience. This is just one way of us giving back to the industry. Besides that, we do a lot of work with the likes of MPA through their PS71. We are also engaged in research projects with NUS and the companies like A-Star. And we are always open for inorganic growth opportunities. And as everybody's aware, the kind of work that RideShip does, and if there is something that you are doing that aligns with our goals, we are more than happy to listen to you.
All right, I think that's all the time that we have with our panelists, Ajinkya and Gerald. Can we give them a round of applause and thank them for the time over here?
Thank you very much, Ajinkya, Gerald, and Win. Can we please give one more round of applause for our speakers over here? Okay, I hope that Stories and Sharing has given us some perspective from their very personal experience on the corporate startup collaboration angle. So moving on next into the next segment, we will be having a panel discussion on sustainable industries, powering innovation, and industry transformation. So just like the segments before, we are very delighted to have very esteemed speakers for this panel discussion. So let me very quickly introduce them to you. So first of all, we have Mr. Coogan, the Chief Innovation Officer of Celcom DG. We have Ms. Philippa, Executive Director of Client Solutions and Asset Operations at EDP Renewables. And Mr. Rodri James, Strategy Lead at APAC for Icono Ventures. And of course, the panel will be moderated by Mr. Adarsh, Partner and Head of Digital Practice Southeast Asia at Bain & Company. Please let us put our hands together to welcome the speakers.
Fantastic. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully, we are all doing well. I have the honor of moderating this fun panel. So I'm going to kick it off by actually inviting each of the panelists to do a quick introduction about themselves, their company, as well as their role. Maybe Lipa, you want to
Sure.
first?
So hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Plug and Play, for this invitation. My name is Lipa Ricciardi, and today I sit at the management team of EDPR APAC. But my career has been in investment banking. I also worked at Uber, and for the past 4 years, I've worked at EDP. EDP, for the ones who don't know, stands for Energias de Portugal, which means Energies of Portugal. It was the incumbent player in the Portuguese market, and over 20 years ago, we started in the journey in renewables. So we have today a presence across more than 29 different markets. We are one of the largest players in renewables, and we're very big in the US and also in Europe and LATAM, but we were missing this Asian component. And so last year, we acquired Sunseap, which is a homegrown startup in Singapore focused on distributed generation that already had a very vast footprint in APAC, so across 9 different markets. And I came here to be part of the management team to help accelerate the business across these 9 different markets, but also take over the asset operations. Thank you.
Great. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rodri James. I'm a strategy manager for Equinor in our Asia Pacific division focused on renewables. I'm not sure how well known Equinor is, so I'll spend a bit of time just to say who we are, what we do, and where we operate. Equinor is a global energy company headquartered in Norway with a traditional business in oil and gas. But today we're a broad energy company with a strong and growing renewables and low carbon division. When it comes to being an energy company, we focus upstream on producing energy. And just to highlight what we do through the energy trilemma, as you'd say, in terms of energy security, we're currently the largest gas supplier to Europe, which is playing a hugely important role strategically and economically, given the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. In terms of decarbonisation, we're accelerating our work in renewables and building a strong renewables business. And we've committed to investing 50% of our capital into renewables and low carbon by 2030. And then in terms of affordability, we're accelerating renewables, driving costs down, venturing into new technologies that can make sure that the energy is affordable and also produces business models that can be profitable for us as a company. In terms of that transition from oil and gas to renewables, it's not an easy one to make, but a natural place to start is close to your core capabilities. So as an offshore producer of oil and gas, the natural place for us to focus early on was offshore wind. We've been active in offshore wind for 15 to 20 years, and we're now currently one of the leading players globally. We're currently finishing construction on the world's biggest offshore wind farm in the UK. We've also just finished construction on the world's biggest floating offshore wind farm in Norway. So offshore wind has been the core of our growth in renewables up until now. But we're also looking to now bridge beyond offshore towards onshore wind, solar, storage, a much broader energy play, particularly as we see power markets becoming much more integrated in delivering electrons towards consumers that can be low carbon and reliable. Beyond power, we're also working very hard in decarbonising our oil and gas operations, but we're also moving in towards clean fuels. We're a world leader in carbon capture technology, and we're making big strides in trying to develop new value chains, particularly in hydrogen and ammonia. And then lastly, I guess, where we are. There's a lot of activity going on in the company, as you can see. A lot of that today is based out of Europe, where it's our home turf around the North Sea. But we're expanding that position in Europe. We're very active in the Americas with strong positions on both the east and west coast of the US. And APAC for us is kind of the next frontier, particularly when it comes towards renewables. So we have had a reorganization and setting up a dedicated APAC division, which is going to be headquartered here in Singapore. We already have an existing trading business for our fuels division. And this hub is going to help support our activities in the markets we're working in trying to develop renewable projects in Korea, Japan, Australia, Vietnam, and other APAC markets that we're screening. So a lot of activity ongoing, and maybe we can explore a bit more of that in the Q&A.
Thank you, Rodri.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kugan. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for CelcomDigi. To those of you all who aren't familiar with CelcomDigi, we are the largest operator in Malaysia. We pride ourselves by saying that 2 out of 3 Malaysians are a CelcomDigi subscriber. We recently merged, both the number 2 and number 3 operator merged and became the default number 1 operator in the country. So with the merger, there is a commitment to the regulator where we are given a task to look at innovation, and I head that unit. Essentially, the ambition is to continue to accelerate the growth for CelcomDigi. Typically, we're coming from a telecommunication background. The revenue growth is driven by voice, SMS, and data. Right now, we are looking at innovative ways in accelerating the growth, looking at future of robotics, looking at specific verticals like logistics, agriculture, and so on. And we do see a big potential. And hopefully, in this summit, I'm exposed to some of the potential partners which could work with us back in our home country. We do see a big potential in the SME marketplace within the Malaysian context. 40% of our GDP within Malaysia is driven by SMEs. So really looking at innovative solutions, looking at ways we can help companies in Malaysia to accelerate their business, digitalize their business, improve their cost efficiency. And we hope that this summit will give us an exposure to get introduced to those companies. And looking forward to meeting all of you all later separately in the summit as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my name is Adarsh Baijal. I'm a partner with Bain & Company in Southeast Asia. I'm a leader in our energy and natural resources practice, but also co-lead our digital practice in Southeast Asia, where we're looking at development of the new economy. I co-author our research together with Google and Temasek on the digital economy in Southeast Asia. So lovely to be here. I'm going to get into some questions for our panelists. Maybe I will start, Kugan, with you. You mentioned, going beyond the traditional realm of the telco to thinking about individual sectors, thinking about the SME space. Can you talk a little bit more about, what role does innovation play, or how you're thinking about innovation to, drive sustainable transformation of industry, whether it's agriculture, logistics, other industries?
There's a number of things we are doing back in our home country, but maybe I'll just give you a perspective of one or two verticals which we're looking at. I'll give you an example of a logistics industry which we are trying to fully automate. It's going to be the first in the country where we are looking at leveraging on technology like 5G, artificial intelligence, and advanced sensing using IoT to completely automate a warehouse. We call it lights out warehouse, and it's going to use a number of technology advancement in robotics, autonomous drones to actually count and scan all their inventories. Needless to use manual labor any longer. And this is going to be done with one pilot in the country, and then we're going to expand that across all the other warehouses in the nation. So this is an example of, and this, of course, leads to many benefits, right? More resource, less resource in terms of manpower, effective energy management, precision and accuracy in terms of scanning, reduction of manual verification, and so on. So we do see a 20 to 30% increase in terms of efficiency, cost efficiency, and both in terms of productivity as well. That's an example within the logistics industry. Now, if you take agriculture is a key source of revenue within the Malaysian market. So we are looking at precision agriculture. Palm oil is a big contributor of the Malaysian GDP. We are looking at using drones to do tree counting, spraying of pesticides to ensure that the young palm oil has a longer lifespan. With that, we do see a potential, and we are working with a major player in the industry to improve the production by about 40%. So these are ways of how you use base technology, which is 5G, which has got excellent latency, using the advancements of robotics, and going after verticals where you can improve productivity and really create value for the society. So those were the days where you think of telcos as traditional players, providing just voice, SMS, and data services. With the advancement of 5G, now we are getting into various verticals, and this is where we do think we can provide clear value add for our customers.
Thank you, Kugan. Maybe I'll go to Rodri next. You talked about a number of new businesses that Equinor is seeding and growing. Would love to hear about what role new venture building or collaboration with the startup ecosystem plays as you're thinking about building out a number of Engine 2 businesses, as we like to call them, and what do you expect from the startup ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, maybe to start as a company, I think
technology and innovation is absolutely at the core of what we do in Equinor. I think about 90% of our people are engineers, probably. I'm not one of them, but it's a very technically focused organization that we have in constructing very complex offshore projects. And we've been at the leading edge of innovating and developing new technologies to reduce costs, improve efficiency, and improve safety of what we do offshore. But our ventures team has a very important to play in a few dimensions. One is that, of course, we're moving now into new business segments. We need to understand those segments and be able to capitalize on new business opportunities outside of our core business. And it's also about being able to look further in future. I think often our innovation is focused quite near term on projects we're delivering in the next few years. But our ventures team helps us to look beyond that. What's coming down the track in 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years? What are the new technologies? What are the new business models that we can capture? So Equinor Ventures was a fund set up about 3 years ago. $750 million, about half of that has been deployed so far. We've got a portfolio of over 60 companies today. And that fund is driven around sort of 3 main areas, all focused towards climate tech and low carbon. But in terms of their spectrum of sort of diversity of technologies we're looking for, on the one hand, we're looking for companies that can enhance what we do today. So how can we improve? How can we optimize? Engineering drone technology. Drones is a technology we've also developed for use in the offshore space, that we can send drones offshore to inspect our turbines, ensure the performance. And that's much cheaper and much safer than sending people offshore. The other area is in expanding, so moving into new business segments that are not part of our core business, but close to our core business. So this could be, for example, investing in next generation solar technology. And we've recently made an investment in an Australian company to that end. And then the third leg of this is the explore, and how do we see these more disruptive technologies and innovations that are being developed, which might be longer term, might be far outside of our core business, but have the potential to really change the energy landscape and therefore force us to change our strategy in that landscape. So an example might be a company we invested in, which is a technology towards nuclear fusion. We are not a company active in nuclear technology today, in nuclear power, but we nevertheless have invested in a technology active in fusion. So we want to be close to that development. We know how disruptive that could be. We want to understand it and be positioned to benefit if that technology is commercialized. And then we have technologies also that can almost capture all three and can really link in with our core business whilst looking forward. One example of that would be a company focused on carbon capture and sequestration from the ocean. So rather than carbon capture from the air, it's carbon capture from the ocean. And it's a company with a lot of heritage and expertise in marine engineering that fits with our core competencies very well. It may require power from offshore wind, for example. It's carbon capture and storage technology that we have been developing in the North Sea. So it links with our current business whilst being still very forward-looking as well. But I mentioned over 60 companies in our portfolio, and I said at the beginning, we've so far been quite focused on Europe and the Americas. And that is also the case in our venture portfolio. Most of the companies we work with today are based in Europe and the Americas. We really want to change that. We really want to we're coming here to APAC, looking to step up our activity, working in partnership with Plug and Play, and we want to be able to find the best technologies and best ideas that are out there in APAC that can help our business to succeed. So looking forward to engaging with the startup community in that regard.
Excellent. Thank you. Philippa, going to you next. Maybe coming back closer to home and linking to our theme also of sustainable cities. Would love to hear your thoughts on Singapore as a city and what does it take to become a more sustainable city? What are some of the things that you're seeing, either challenges or creative ways that people are tackling that?
Sure. So Singapore is probably the most challenging market when it comes to renewables, given the lack of space. So the scarcity of land really makes us become creative on how we deploy renewables. To give you a sense, today we have more than 270 megawatts installed in Singapore, but it's spread across 3,000 buildings. This means that we really need to rethink the way that we're doing business from a traditional old school utility that had more centralized generation, so utility scale assets, towards more decentralized. This means that we cannot do our business development the same way we were doing. We need to have scalable ways to be able to deploy or to identify the opportunities when we're managing assets, it's virtually impossible to go to the assets on a daily basis. So we really need to leverage technology. Singapore makes us think differently in that sense, given that it's so granular and makes it much more interesting from a business perspective. We also believe that the new growth area, besides utility scale, obviously, will come from decentralized generation. So as we shift the paradigm, we see a lot of benefit on expanding more in DG. We call it DG, not only in Singapore, but also in APAC. It is expected that more than 50% of the growth in renewables comes from projects that are below 5 megawatts. These are small facilities. In Singapore, it's even smaller. We're talking about 75 kilowatt peak systems in the HDB blocks. So we really had to change the mindset on how we're looking to do our business. This means scale, this means speed, and reinventing the wheel of how we're looking into technology. We also need to be creative on where we put our assets. So maybe it's not just in buildings. We're looking at opportunities in floating. We have a 5 megawatt offshore floating platform in Woodlands. It's a technology that we're willing to further expand, specifically in Southeast Asia, where you have such an amount of water bodies. It's interesting for us to identify lower cost on developing it, but given that, for instance, in Singapore, it will be impossible to address carbon neutrality without thinking about creative ways of putting panels. BIPV is an interesting technology for us to explore, but even thinking outside the box, let's say, in the railways and the sound barriers that you have, why does solar need to be on a horizontal plane? It could also be vertical. So we're always trying to brainstorm in the company different ways to address the lack of space, and distributed generation in a way helps us to accelerate that growth, given that the speed to deploy it will be much easier. In a very dense city, we should utilize the assets that we already have. It doesn't make sense to put a big soccer field in the middle of Singapore to deploy renewables, but it does make sense to fully utilize what you see around. And that's a little bit where we're focused here in the market.
Thank you. That's fascinating. I remember reading an article about how we should be living in even denser cities so that we are encroaching less upon the rest of the land on the earth. That will make it more sustainable. So, reinventing cities is a huge priority. Maybe one question to each of you, speaking to this audience of entrepreneurs and corporate innovators, as you look ahead over the next 2-3 years, what are some of the top themes, domains, innovations, problem statements that you're most excited about, that this group is actually going to put their brains behind? And maybe I'll start with Rodri, you.
Sure. 3 things would be the natural places of the 3 legs of our innovation fund. So it's what technologies, what ideas are out there that can enhance what we do today, that can optimize the way we develop, construct, and operate our offshore wind farms, for example. The second leg of that is the expand. How can we sort of expand into new business segments? So what interesting ideas are out there from new solar technologies, storage technologies. In fact, we've recently invested in a storage recycling company based out of Singapore. Super exciting idea in terms of how we can improve the circularity of our activities as well. And the third is this explore trend that we have, which is more gazing out into the future. What's coming? What can't we see? There's always a risk of a company like ours having our head in the sand for too long and not seeing these disruptive changes that are happening in the future. So, huge growth in APAC. That's why we're here. That's why we want to step up, working with Plug and Play and other partners. And we're really excited to see what can come in this market, and that can help our business in APAC, but also help us with our global operations in all continents.
Thank you. Felipe, your thoughts?
Sure. So when we talk to clients, what we feel is missing is some form of education on how they can decarbonize. And so I think it's missing. There's some missing tools in the market that allow them to really understand what type of products they can do, because it can get complex. If you put an on-site asset to receive the energy from a solar panel, it will not be enough to fully decarbonize. So you need to think about creative ways. VPPAs is one of which I think there's still some education to do in the market, and I feel there's an interesting opportunity there. From a reporting perspective, there's also so much to do. Today, corporates have all of these requirements to do from in terms of ESG, scope 1, 2, and 3. I don't think corporates are ready for it yet, and we see that the clients struggle. So in this space certainly is something that all of you probably have heard about. But where I find to miss interesting opportunities and where I'm most focused on is in the afterlife of these assets. Most of the company today is focusing on growth. We are growing at the speed of light. We want to deploy 20 gigawatts in the next 3 years. So it's really, nobody is really thinking about the afterlife of these assets. And so I'm interested in opportunities, or how do we enhance the value of the asset when it's there? So improving the generation of the asset per se when it's already on site. How do we recycle the solar panels and find another purpose for them in their afterlife? Wind turbines, it's also a big challenge, and certainly storage. So we really want to explore more the circularity of our business, and it's a space where I haven't seen materiality for us. Thank you.
Yeah, that's we need to set it up right from the start before we scale up to all the power being renewable. Kugan, your thoughts?
So maybe I'll touch on 3 areas. Advancement in robotics, I think I mentioned that before. It's going to be so key for us in Malaysia. We are looking at precision agriculture. We are looking at autonomous drones, even getting into the manufacturing sector on cobots. How do you really work alongside machines to improve production? So that's going to be a big focus for us. Obviously, the country is going through a massive shift in terms of rolling out a 5G network. So that will be enhanced with very good coverage as well. The second area is artificial intelligence. The word is being overused, but it's so key for us now that analytics becomes so a differentiating factor for the operators. How do we really differentiate our offerings? How do you really use analytics to make it as a key differentiator in terms of targeting industries and giving a value proposition which is meaningful to our consumers? The third, which is going to be a little bit future, but we are starting to dabble into it, is on quantum computing. Very early days, but excellent opportunity to get into areas of cybersecurity, network optimization, a very different way of looking at quantum computing to really enhance the network performance of the operator, number one. Number two, security is always being touted as a big issue. With quantum computing, I think it really takes it to the next level. So we do see this combination of 3 technologies are going to be so key for us in the future, and always looking forward to meeting startup communities within that space and exploring potentials as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Kugan. I was just going to say that nobody has said AI yet. Thank you for throwing it in. It is.
Thought I'd do justice by just mentioning it.
Yeah, it is going to be quite foundational. Well, thank you so much. That brings us to the end of the panel. I want to give a big thank you to each of our panelists, Philippa, Rodri, and Kugan. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chandni. I'm the Ventures Associate here at Plug and Play. So I look after startup engagements and investments for sustainability in the APAC region. So today we have 9 amazing startups pitching to you today for sustainable cities. So the technologies range from smart cities to enterprise tech to property tech. So it's pretty exciting. What you see over here is the QR code. So if you'd like to connect with any of our startups, please scan the QR code displayed here on the screen. It's also printed at the back of your tag. And our team here at Plug and Play will help facilitate an email introduction with any of the startups that have been pitching today. Next up, I'd like to introduce our first startup that's pitching here today. So the next startup is Agilux. They're based in Malaysia. They're on a mission to digitize and transform insurance intermediaries by offering software solutions to various stakeholders such as insurance brokers, agencies, and banks. Let's put our hands together to welcome our first startup, Agilux.
Thank you.
Hi guys, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Deep, the founder and CEO of Agilix. I'm sure almost everybody has seen this. COVID has done wonders for the digital industry. It has changed, transformed almost every industry. Everybody thinks the insurtech is changing the whole industry, which is not really wrong also. Numbers are so big. But if you see, right, insurtech, the size of the insurtech was less than 1% in 2021. And after next 10 years also, it will be less than 3% of the overall industry, which is kind of shocking. That means somebody has to do something for the rest 97% of the market. With just insurtech, you can't really transform the industry. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. There's one study by McKinsey also, which says, how do you merge the offline and online, and how do you support the existing guys? So we are more of an enabler than the, trying to replace the traditional guys, right? This is the 5 different pillars of insurance. We focus on the middle one, which is the intermediaries, whether it's brokers, agencies, or even the bank assurance. We have built a comprehensive software to transform the whole end-to-end delivery of the insurance, whether it's in the commercial insurance segment or even in the retail insurance. Retail means when you're selling to the individuals, commercial when you're selling it to the BT. Pretty comprehensive solutions what we have built. It's a huge market. We started from Southeast Asia, currently working in 4 different countries, but we are already exploring the Middle East, which is Dubai, and we have a big plan to go to London as well, which is the largest market for the commercial insurance. And these 6 countries collectively is around 200 million a year kind of a market size, which we are focusing upon. This is the initial stage. In last 2 years, we managed to get around 8 customers, roughly 350K ARR kind of thing. But it's getting very, very exciting. We have a huge pipeline. There are almost 30-40 customers who are interested to work with us on this whole digitalization part. As a company, we are kind of experienced. We have done work before. We are doing this whole insurance thing since last 8-9 years. We worked with Baltec. I mean, now they are a big part of, it's a huge unicorn kind of, but we are working with them when they were very small startup. We build a lot of technology stuff for them. So all of that experience is what we are utilizing now to, we think we are big to transform the commercial insurance industry. It's a big, big target, but that is what we are trying to do. There are not many startups who work in the commercial side, and that is what we are going to do. Thank you very much for listening. Any question? Not sure if it's the question answers thing. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much. So next up, we have Goalsmapper hailing here from Singapore. So they're an award-winning Singapore-based fintech SaaS startup tailored for financial consultants and institutions. Let's put our hands together to welcome Goalsmapper.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Wayne. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Goalsmapper. So I'm excited to share with you about us, a bootstrap and profitable startup since inception. So many of us are very concerned about inflation, right? Because it is actually affecting our finances, and of course, we are conscious about spending. But it is a chore to actually keep track of all these expenses and all this financial stuff on a day-to-day basis. And that's why if today we were to develop a solution directed at consumers to actually input their own finances to keep track of their financials, it will be a nightmare because it will not work. So today, we actually, because we understand that consumers are all lazy, right? Like you and I, we all know we are all lazy, right? So today, we actually provide our solution to financial advisors because on the other hand, they are being motivated to actually help you to keep track of your finances. They will input the information for you, they will keep track of it, right? And that's how we actually develop Goalsmapper. So we strive to end poverty through financial literacy, accessibility, and clarity, and in 3 phases. In phase 1, we focus on empowerment and ecosystem. In phase 2, expansion enterprise, and in phase 3, extension and evolution. So in phase 1, we actually develop a suite of digital solution, forming an ecosystem to empower financial advisor to do financial advisory for their client. Today, we have more than 1,500 financial advisors across 6 countries subscribing to our platform and servicing more than 80,000 clients in this region. We are a multi-award-winning SaaS platform where we tailored our solution for financial advisors for financial institutions to digitalize the financial advisory experience. So we have also obtained our data security and data protection excellence through ISO 2701 certification, Data Protection Trustmark certification, and of course MAS-TRM compliant. Our users consist of both the individual financial advisors and also corporate clients. So we have received many positive testimonials from our consumers and our users. And we are also featured extensively on the media. So today, we're actually looking out for investors who are interested to help us to expedite our growth in the next phase 2 and phase 3 of our business. As phase 2, I mentioned that we are looking into expansion and enterprise. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand our user base, both individual and enterprise, and we're going to expand to 2 other countries. And these 2 countries, total addressable market is about 356,000 financial advisors. With just 20% of obtainable market share, there will be a potential revenue of 45.8 million. On phase 3, we are looking at extension and evolution, where we want to extend our product to the hands of our consumers, where then it can actually create a very collaborative experience between the financial advisor and the client at a very high value touch point in a single platform. And lastly, we hope that through this session, we can also look for financial institution or even corporate partners who would like to collaborate with us, leverage on our advanced digital solution to digitize their financial advisory process. And through this process, we believe that we can actually unlock more opportunities. We can actually create more innovation, create a dynamic ecosystem to end poverty through financial literacy, accessibility, and clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Next up, we have Raymond Villanueva from SquadZip. So based in the Philippines, SquadZip is a digital extension of your office. So they help remote working teams work smarter and manage sales and operations more efficiently. Let's give Raymond a warm welcome.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? Oh, come on, you need more energy than that. But thank you very much for being here, and thank you to Plug and Play for this opportunity to present SquadZip to you all. So when our company started in 2014, when our company started in 2014, the CRM market showed a total growth of, how come it's a different slide? Okay, $52.4 billion US, with a projected growth rate of 13.3% per year until 2030. So, all right, it's a different slide. Awesome, fantastic. But anyway, this figure has ballooned up to $72.7 billion US in 2022 and is projected to still continue its trajectory in growth. So what our company did our goal was to create a next generation CRM that would be easy to use, configurable for any different use cases, and as simple as using social media. So we are currently serving clients across 6 countries in Southeast Asia today. And for these companies and more, we have transitioned to become the digital extension of the office. Okay, so here's some of these clients. Okay, so a day in SquadZip starts with a clock in. All right, so users will be clocking in using our platform. Okay, they'll be reporting their meetings, events, itineraries, and even their tasks for today together with the time they clock in. Now, managers will have full visibility of what their field working teams are doing, who they're meeting with, what are the status of each deal on a feed, okay, in real time through any territory. And although that may sound a bit overwhelming, okay, we help organize the data through what we call zip tags. Zip tags act like hashtags from social media, but these are categorized. So each zip tag has a profile page. Every page has details about your client that you're meeting. Every post has their files or even the instances that you discussed with them. Companies, products, key activities, or even key issues will also have their own profile pages. And that makes up your private company wiki.
On top of this, QuadZip will organize all your data into dashboards, analytics, and reports. Now, although I don't have time to talk about all these features and dashboards, I just want to highlight a few. We have a task and ticketing system that allows you to monitor time-sensitive activities, a sales pipeline that allows you to monitor every deal, helping teams make more sales. And on top of that, you can measure key activities, key metrics that can quantify productivity of your teams. If you want to know more, reach out to us for a free demo, presentation, or even a trial or partnership opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raymond. Next up, we have Patrick Sim from FacilityBot. The FacilityBot has a full-featured CMMS system, allowing for facilities managers to manage assets, checklists, requests, and so on. Please help me welcome Patrick.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Sim. I'm the co-founder of FacilityBot. We are a single platform for all your smart FM needs. Okay, that's me. All right. Me still? All right. So we've been deployed in 7 countries, over 2 million square meters, 23,000 users, actually 25,000 now. I think the main things for this slide is that we can be deployed in all types of properties, whether it's educational, commercial, etc., etc. We also won the award for Outstanding Technology Solution Provider Award from the industry. So that's a very strong encouragement from us that the industry likes our solution. So why does the industry like our solution? Okay, so let's go through now. Okay, the industry is, we're still pretty reliant on paper-based and non-sustainable practices. And FacilityBot, we are on a mission to automate and digitize these. And we are easy to use as well. And we feel that all sustainable cities should have a smart CMMS in every building. We are innovative in the sense that we are the first omni-channel smart FM system. We support various messaging channels for people to report issues, including all these messaging channels here, QR code and IoT as well. Okay, now, no time to go through all the features, but I'll run through really quickly. So, there's core maintenance features. Okay, things like fault reporting through QR codes, easy checklist creation and completion, completely self-service doable on our system itself, customizable form for service requests, and many different QR codes for different purposes, right? Like creating, checking on your assets, creating checklists, etc. Okay. Yeah, other features, very important, asset management, attendance, including using GPS to make sure that the cleaners, the technicians are on site, metering, etc., and inventory management, very important for facilities management. Financial features also involve vendor management, procurement, schedule of rates, and expenditures. We also have tenant experience features, including room booking, visitor management, and hot desking. Right? And one thing to promote smart buildings, we need to be very easily integratable to IoT systems. So we can integrate in minutes, and we collect the data and help the client visualize these. And of course, reporting is very important, and we have customizable dashboards for that. Okay, in terms of sustainability, we can help measure, you connect an electricity meter, and you can measure electricity, so we can help with this reporting, right? And of course, we are looking at improving. We are always improving, including some ChatGPT implementations here. The automated checklist generator we have already deployed, etc. here. And okay, so what are we looking for? We are completely bootstrapped, not actively fundraising, but open to investment discussion. All right. And of course, we are looking for a suitable partner as well. We are beginning our sustainability journey, so we are trying to learn as well. If we have suitable partners to work together and enhance our sustainability story. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. So next up, we have Yuvanesh from Loretta.io. Loretta.io is a behavioral AI company. They use existing cameras to infer occupant behavior and intent. Thank you.
Thank you. So good afternoon to everyone. My name is Yuvanesh from Loretta.io. So we are a behavioral AI company, and we use existing cameras on your facility to help you understand or make sense of people's behavior and their intents in the context of your physical spaces, and we do that in real time. So our kind of solution is best demonstrated, so I'm just going to play a quick video. What the AI is doing here, the use case that we did for the Department of Homeland Security is to actually make sense of potential threats. So in this example, the AI is looking out for people who are abandoning suspicious bags. So whenever somebody drops a bag, the AI actually starts tagging the person across a unified camera network. But the second thing it does is it actually keeps track of the bag itself. Right? So these two things are actually an event that is sent to the operations personnel, and then they can address the issue in real time on site, according to whatever security measures that they have. Right. So we have built a full end-to-end product, so all the way from the AI to the front-end experience. So that means our data can be visualized, and you can use it to make sense, on the front end as well. But we support third-party integration, so we work with clients, and we can actually push our events and alerts to your dashboard, to your platform, if you want it that way. So as I mentioned earlier, some of the customers that we work with, one of our most notable clients is the Department of Homeland Security. We have a couple of projects with them. We do more national security and some other confidential stuff. But anyway, it's just like more around the fact that we are protecting the assets and public security. So the intention here is that the AI forms the first level of security. We use cameras to provide a 24/7 oversight and overview for the operation and security personnel in areas that are so high in footfall and traffic that it does not make sense to actually put people on the ground. So example, mass rapid transport systems, public infrastructure, or even schools where it's very dense, it might not be practical to put people on the ground. That same technology we also use with Lendlease. So in the retail space, we help them make sense of who their visitors are, their demographics, their customer profiles, and their personas in real time. And that's actually allowed them to digitize and measure the ROI of their marketing campaigns in a physical space, optimize tenant planning and tenant matrix positioning, and it's also helped with the leasing negotiations with tenants because they have data to actually back their contractual requirements. So we have done a couple of projects across 5 countries, mostly along retail security and facility management. We have raised with Wavemakers in our seed round, and we're doing our Series A from next month. So if there are any investors who are interested in a company like ours, I'll be happy to have a chat with you at our booth later. So we have a company is headquartered in Singapore, founded in Singapore, and currently my CEO Galvin is based in the US, handling the US operations. We've got a strong team based both in Singapore and the US, amazing group of advisors that have been supporting us in our strategic decision making. And I mean, in summary, I guess the way we describe Loretta is that as a company, we're looking to create dynamic, unique digital twins for each person and the objects that they're associated with and their relationship over time. So we give you that journey from start to end. But at the architecture level, we are designed for enterprises, so we build for scale. We understand the challenges companies face when implementing solutions at scale, and we specialize at that. And we do that very well, and we integrate transparently with existing systems, so third-party systems as well. And third, but equally very important, is that we are very pro-anonymous AI. So all our AI solutions are fully compliant with privacy laws, but even inherently we implement our solutions and design them based on responsible AI frameworks. So AI can be deployed without infringing on the everyday person's privacy. Right. Thank you. I've come to the end, but if you've got any questions around AI, you want to find out more, please come find us at table 17. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuvanesh. So next up to the stage, we will be having Cornerstone. So they provide modern cloud-hosted ERP platform. Please help me welcome Russell Cope.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Russell, and I'm from Cornerstone. We are a company that's been around for 24 years now, and what we do is we provide enterprise software for property owners to actually maximize the revenues from their building, as well as streamline the operations so that the cost of maintaining their buildings is actually optimized according to the rent, right? That's why we say that we actually we digitalize all workflows associated with property owning on one single platform. Now, in terms of how we actually help to improve building performance, speaking of building performance, right now, a lot of the focus is on IoTs to actually improve the maintenance. However, around 40 to 60% of the cost of owning a building is actually in the maintenance workflows, is in manpower costs, essentially. Now, how do you actually optimize that manpower cost? Is to digitally transform those workflows so that software automation can help you to reduce the number of steps that you need to do and also to reduce the amount of people that you need to perform these tasks. Right now, the biggest problem with property ownership is that data is in many different systems. You have a separate system for lease tenant management. You have a separate system for maintenance. Our platform allows a property owner to have everything on one single platform, which is why what we provide is actually an end-to-end system starting from finance ERP. It's a full-fledged finance ERP that's being used by government ministries in Singapore, as well as the Singapore Food Agency and numerous others. In terms of our maintenance, we also are being used to, CDL recently used our platform to rejuvenate Republic Plaza building in the CBD area. That's why what we say is that when you bring all your stakeholders onto one single platform, you're able to create all kinds of new ways of doing things. You can streamline your workflows and you can create new revenue streams as well. What we do is that we provide you with a platform so that you can adjust the levers in how you manage your building. You have maintenance data to speak to your tenants about increasing their rents or to optimize your building management. So what we seek today are strategic partners that will help us to enter new markets across the region, and also, of course, to invest in our company if you would like to. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Russell. So next up, we have Frontline based here in Singapore. They're actually one of our portfolio startups. So they're into construction planning, simulation, and optimization. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Luis Martinez, CEO of Frontline. And today I want to talk about a big problem in construction. Because before we even have smart cities, we first have to build them. And planning complex construction projects is extremely complex. There are thousands of activities, from piling the foundations to painting a wall. Each activity is different, has different durations, requires different resources, and needs to be done in a particular way. It is done manually, and it's extremely time-consuming. It takes months to develop a single project plan and weeks to study any alternative options. So typically, only one plan is developed. This challenge is one of the fundamental reasons why 90% of construction projects are delayed. And delays in construction mean a lot of money. We're talking about saving millions here. And how do we do it? Frontline has developed proprietary optimization algorithms to augment construction planning. Just by uploading a project plan, our platform will simulate and optimize thousands of options in seconds to find the best ones in terms of duration, cost, and use of resources. Our platform can be used from the early stages of a project all the way to the construction phase, when it is paramount to mitigate the impact of delays and find options to recover. Frontline is already being used in some of the world's most complex projects, like a $2.3 billion infrastructure project we are doing in the US with one of the leading international contractors. In this project, we are already delivering tangible benefits by helping them optimize their more pressing and challenging work. We are seeing appetite for our solution as we are already working with some of the leading construction companies in Europe and Asia Pacific and have a robust pipeline of international construction companies. Our use and license model will enable rapid revenue growth within each account. And one of the reasons why our clients enjoy working with us is because we are a very passionate team. We bring together a combination of industry experience and state-of-the-art knowledge of optimization algorithms. My co-founder, Reichi, was an academic researcher on quantum optimization problems at the Center for Quantum Technologies of the National University of Singapore. I work for some of the largest petrochemical and engineering companies in the world, working in construction projects worldwide, and in each place I experienced firsthand the same challenges that we want to solve today. But we don't want to stop at solving this problem. We aspire to become the standard to design, optimize, and execute any complex project, from construction to defense to manufacturing. We believe that by integrating our technology in both the design phase as well as the execution phase of projects, we can unlock a tremendous value to the industry, helping companies reduce their costs in up to 25%. We have raised our seed round this year to focus on delivering the first step of our vision. And if you want to help us in building this, come talk to us. Thank you very much.
All right, next up we have Inhovate. So they're a comprehensive one-stop SaaS platform powered by AI.
There are 500,000 hotels around the world, and they are complex to manage, costly to own and operate, and together they spend $30 billion every year on their enterprise systems. Each hotel uses 20 to 40 different software systems to manage their daily operations, but they remain data-rich and insight poor because their systems are siloed and they capture an enormous amount of valuable data that remains fragmented and unused. This leads to weak insights, costly errors, slow and poor decisions, which impacts customer satisfaction, employee efficiency, profitability, and asset value. Recovering from a devastating crisis with an increasingly competitive environment and significant staff shortages, it is critical for hoteliers to innovate and to make fast decisions that are based on interconnected data and science. What if we can help hotel owners and operators make decisions based on data science that are 100 times faster and 10 times more accurate and impactful? What if we can help them cut their reporting burden by 90%? What if we can help them transform their guest satisfaction while boosting their revenues and profits? Well, this is now possible with Innovate, the intelligent business transformation system developed by hoteliers for hoteliers. Our 360-degree fully customizable SaaS solution brings together fragmented data from all disparate hotel systems and big data under one roof. Through our AI-powered proprietary technology, our platform transforms data into meaningful analytics and insights, produces intelligent predictions, recommends impactful actions, and a lot more. And all of this in seconds, not in days or weeks. Hotel owners, operators, and asset managers are adopting Innovate because, one, it offers them a single source of truth, where all their fragmented data is harmonized, interconnected, and correlated to provide them with their own customized unified view across all their properties, geographies, brands, etc. Two, our various integrated modules allow them to build and personalize their own tools based on their needs, with cross-functional analysis, multi-dimensional search and alerts, multi-entity consolidation and reporting, standardized and automated forecasting and budgeting, and more. And three, our intelligent platform provides them with insights, recommendations, and actions that identify opportunities to enhance revenue, reduce cost, and improve guest experience.
All right, loving the inspirational music, right? So last but not least, we have Green Bricks hailing from Chile. So they have a triple impact sustainable base and they manage and revalue recycled plastics and construction waste.
Hello everyone, I'm Sebastián Sangüesa and I represent our startup, Green Bricks. We are from Concepción in southern Chile, South America. The world produces twice as much plastic waste as it did 2 decades ago, most of which is designated for landfill incineration or leakage into the environment, with only 9% being successfully recycled. It is estimated that there are currently 13 million tons of plastic waste in the ocean, and another 109 million tons have accumulated in rivers. We have developed a sustainable concrete using a large amount of recycled PET plastic and a low-era-based biopolymer for its adherence. This concrete has the advantage of being 50% lighter than traditional products. It has better flexibility, is fire resistant and immune to insect attack. It's weather resistant and UV resistant, increasing its impermeability and durability. We currently use our concrete formula to manufacture and sell floor and wall coverings to construction companies looking for sustainable and durable materials. But an infinite number of products can be created with this solution. So, depending on the need that arises, we can develop different prefabricated, sustainable concrete products. We are currently working on different construction projects, such as eco-spaces, sustainable courts, and claddings for houses and large buildings. Today, we have raised over 100,000 through sales. Well, I am the operation manager of this startup, and I have a high-performing team with whom we have achieved great progress together. We divide this team into departments, such as administration, operations, construction, innovation, and design. For every square meter of our concrete, we recycle more than 1,000 PET plastic bottles. In addition, every 6 square meters, we prevent the regeneration of 1 ton of carbon. So, if we manufacture 30,000 square meters this year, we will reduce 5,000 tons of carbon per year. We are advising in many social projects that encourage the use of sustainable materials in construction. Our dream is to build the world's longest sustainable bike path and construct large cities with our formula. Well, we are Greenbricks, dedicated to sustainable construction, working with the purpose of cleaning the world of plastic that threatens the environment and our future. We are open to working and collaborating to achieve a greener future. Therefore, any project or investment is welcome so that together we can build a sustainable society.
All right, so that was Greenbricks. Firstly, let's all give a round of applause to the startups that pitched today for the Sustainable City segment. So thank you everyone for joining us for this segment. If you'd like to connect with any of the startups that you heard pitch today, feel free to scan this QR. Oh no, it changed. Well, feel free to scan the QR code that's also at the back of your name tag, and our Plug and Play colleagues will help facilitate an email introduction with you and the startups. Next up, I would like to pass the mic back to James, who is going to bring on the Portfolio Startup segment.